All right, buckle up, because today we're about to dive into the world of electronic wireless drivetrains. And this new player thinks that they've made one that's lighter, faster, and lasts longer. Oh, and it's half the price as all the other guys. You've probably seen those sleek, high-end systems from Sram and Shimano. They're nice and all, but I'd rather not sell a kidney to be able to afford one. Well, good news, because today we're taking a look at one that costs only 400 bucks. And no, it's not a sketchy eBay find. It's a legit alternative that comes from the Chinese company called Wheeltop. So, can we get smooth and reliable wireless shifting without the price of a new car? Let's find out. So what exactly is this thing? First off, let's break it down. This shiny new contraption is called the Electronic Derailleur System, or EDS for short. That's like calling your car a land transport device just to sound important. Now, before we start geeking out over all the specs, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why would anyone in their right mind want to buy a wireless transmission over the cable variant? They're heavier, they cost more, and worst of all, they run on batteries that could die at the most inconvenient time. Like when you're riding your bike on a mountain. But here's the kicker. They actually work very well. You get smooth shifts, zero cable mess, and the installation's actually easier than assembling IKEA furniture. Plus, the batteries last like a whole month, so you're not going to be constantly running to the store like some sort of battery hoarding squirrel. Okay, so what do we actually get for 400 bucks? Here's what's in the box. The derailleur itself, which feels pretty solid. You get a magnetic USB charging cable. Yes, thanks for keeping it modern. And a shifter that's just a bit bulkier than SRAM's fancy AXS, but not enough to make you question your life choices. One thing that's important is that this derailleur has a clutch. Now that's a big deal. It helps keep the chain tight and prevents it from flapping around like a freshly caught fish. Without it, your chain would be more likely to drop faster than my grades in high school. Is it actually light and mighty? Let's talk weight for a little bit, because let's face it, we all like to pretend that we actually care about the grams. First, let's weigh a Shimano XT derailleur. You see these things everywhere on the trails. They're by far the most popular meat-powered derailleur. And now let's toss the EDS on the scale. Well, that's pretty good, right? And just for laughs, let's compare it to SRAM's GX Axis. But remember, weight isn't everything. We need to see if this thing actually works. Does it work right out of the box? I'm gonna pop the EDS on the Colossus e-bike here because we're gonna be able to put in a ton of miles on this thing super fast. And this bike just eats up chunky trails, so we're actually gonna see how good the clutch is on this thing. So installing the EDS is really as easy as it gets. Break the chain, ditch the cables, and just mount the derailleur to your dropout. Swap the shifters, and voila, you're done. Well, not exactly. We need to tune and make sure this thing shifts through the whole range of gears. Usually, you would do this using tools or the micro adjusters on the derailleur or shifter. But the EDS is electronic and uses Bluetooth through its own app to make all the final adjustments. So you're probably thinking, okay, here we go, more headaches, right? But actually, no. A few minutes of fiddling around, some programming tweaking, and bam, it's shifting through all the gears like a hot knife through butter. I don't know about you, but when I hear app in the bike world, I expect something that's either buggy or a total disaster. But surprisingly, this thing actually works really well. You can see everything about your EDS right there on the app. So how does it actually ride? For that, we gotta hit the trails. So I'll see you outside.
All right, so first impressions with this EDS. And right now on the fire road, everything's shifting very quickly and accurately. You know, there's a little bit of a clunk, but you know, that might be just because I'm used to the SRAM AXS transmission now. That's super smooth, and you know, I'm sure there's a little bit more micro tuning I could probably do to get that even smoother, but so far it's accurate. There's nothing like the chain never hesitates to go into the next gear, right? It's just a little louder than what I'm used to with the SRAM AXS, but it feels accurate. It goes exactly where it's supposed to. And I feel like, you know, especially with a big e-bike like that, with a lot of torque, a lot of power, that's where it's super important to have gears that are dialed and very accurately just shift to where they need to go and don't really fumble around between the two gears as you're kind of like pushing and pulling the cable through. This just goes and falls right into place exactly where it's supposed to go. So far, so good. Okay, let's do a little flow lap here just to see how the clutch is on a nice smooth trail. Should handle this very easily. Little jumps. So far so good. I'm not hearing anything back there rattling around too much. As expected, the clutch felt pretty stiff in my hands. So I'm expecting good things for this little EDS here. Ooh. So, first lap complete. To be perfectly honest, I mean, I didn't hear anything slapping around back there. I think everything was really tight. It feels just as good as the high-end stuff. And I would bring up something that a lot of people probably won't talk about, is the chunkiness of this shifter and how chunky the buttons are. Like, you actually have to push them in. A lot of times on my Shimano and the older Sram AXS, the buttons were so easy to just click in, right? You pretty much just had to tap it and your gears would change. That's nice and all when you're just shifting through your gears, but a lot of times you're hitting your knee, or you know, you're grabbing your grip a little bit differently and you're tapping these buttons. These are going to be hard to mistakenly tap and shift gears, right? Like, you have to deliberately push it in, which I kind of like because mountain biking can be kind of rough sometimes, right? Okay, this one's called Floppy Bunny. Drop. Little jumps. Little roller coaster. Nice. Well, that was pretty tame for a black diamond. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. A little bit of a climb here. Man, this thing shifts so well. Even on chunky stuff, just zoop, accurate. Look at this. Okay, let's try the middle. Okay. All right, middle part done. side. Yes. Nice. Well, that's 2 out of 3. I think I'll just leave it at that for today and come back, try the triple black option later on. Steep section. That's so good. So good. This rolls too, nice. Man, once you know the trail, you can probably just bomb down here. Okay, let's see how this EDS does on some technical climbing. It's super rooty, rocky, chunky here, and I'm gonna try and shift some gears while I'm pedaling just to see how it does. Okay, here we go. Pedaling under load, shifting. Yeah, let's go over here. No problem.
So is it a flop or a winner? For 400 bucks, you're getting a shifter, an app, and an electronic wireless derailleur that feels high-end without the high-end price tag. Sure, it's not as polished as getting an entire wireless SRAM transmission, but hey, if you're riding on a budget and you want something wireless, this does the job pretty well. And if you're on a tighter budget, just stick to the regular MPSA or meat-powered shifting apparatus. I'm gonna be keeping the EDS on my bike for long-term testing, but so far, I'm pretty impressed. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any fun videos we do in the future. And you should watch this video next because it's the one that YouTube recommends specifically for you. I'll see you over there.